Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the All Angles Sports Investing Weekly Preview Show. Not much has changed apart from myself, the new host, Kev Harper. You know Steve and you'll know Ash if you've already seen the show in previous seasons. Guys, great to be with you. Thanks so much for inviting me to be the host. Really looking forward to both this show and the season as a whole.
Yeah, my first time working with you, and of course, I've already cut Steve off. This is what I'm notorious for, but we're on opposite ends of the globe, so it's fine. Yeah, looking forward to doing it. We haven't done this with a presenter before, so yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. And I have two Brits against my one Southern accent, so yeah, see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, we're here for bets. We promise to bring you the best bets every single weekend, right across the world of football. And for this episode, I mean the world of football. We'll elaborate on that a little bit later on. Let's get started, though, with some familiar leagues. And Ash, I'll come to you first for your first bet. It takes place on Saturday. It's in the Bundesliga, which, of course, gets underway this weekend, and also the top flight in Portugal. Hit me with those picks.
Right. So everyone who's used to my plays knows I love doubles, love finding value in matches that, typically you're a little bit priced out of if you play them as singles. And also I like to manipulate the lines to where I prefer them instead of the books. So Dortmund at home here, this is going to be kind of self-explanatory. They've made some moves. Bellingham is gone, but I just Dortmund at home are super strong. They choked against Bayern, but I actually think that kind of helps us here. I think they try to make a statement. They lost one match at home last season, scored 55 at home. I think they only conceded 17. So going up versus this side, I like Dortmund to score multiple goals, and I think they get us the win. So that's all we need. Doesn't matter if it's 1-0, 3-1, or whatever. And we're going to go to Portugal. So Benfica, one of the 2 to 3 teams that I just typically love, just kind of a wagon team for me in Portugal. Benfica, just a super, super strong side. They're playing really well recently. And and we're just going to take them to win the first half here. And they should be able to score 1 or 2, I would say, in the first half. They typically start pretty strong. And I think getting both of these plays at -104, so close to evens. I would even lay probably a -120. So love the plays and love the price too.
Yep, brilliant way to get us going. A Bundesliga bet in that late game on Saturday. Does look like Dortmund got a bit of a penalty kick at home to Köln. And, of course, Benfica to hit back from their defeat in the opening week last week. Steve, I'll come to you for the second bet on this new episode, and we'll head back to England, a place that we both know very, very well. The first of the sort of TV games in the UK sees Tottenham up against Manchester United. Tottenham last week, 2-2 draw against Brentford, very creditable, particularly in light of Harry Kane leaving not long before that game. Manchester United are an absolute basket case against Wolves. Quite how they won that game, only they will know, because I certainly don't. You've got a little bit of a bet builder for us, though, for all of us. Prime time sort of game in the UK, decent time in America. So what are you going to hit us with?
Well, I think we're just going to have a bit of a general discussion about this game as well, because it is one of the bigger games. I know there'll be a lot of people watching who are interested in having a bet. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this match as well, Kev. I looked at the moneyline odds, and Man United are favourites, about plus 140. Spurs are around about the plus 180 mark. So it's one of those, pick your side, whichever you fancy. And I was struggling in that way. So I went down a bet builder route for this particular game. And I'm just going to put it up on the screen now to show everyone. There it is. So I'm going with both teams to score yes. We're going with then 3 players to have over 1.5 shots. Just shots, not on target, just shots. Thankfully, it's just shots in the case of a couple of them. But Marcus Rashford is one of them. Richarlison is another, or his full name there, De Andrade Richarlison. And Anthony, or Dos Santos Anthony, for Man United. So if we just get 2 shots from them over the course of the match, then in addition to both teams scoring, then it's a plus 225 winner. And I think there's some value on this particular play because I think it's going to be quite an offensive game of football. First and foremost, I think it's going to be a good game to watch. I can see quite a lot of people being interested in overs here. I'd just rather take the BTTS in case it is 1-1. And I just went a bit value hunting, really. I do like a bet builder. I had a bet builder winner on the premium service tonight on the Sheffield United match. That hit at pretty juicy odds. So we'll go again. But, Ashley, what do you think? What's this? Anything catch your eye in this game? Big sort of fixture. Do you think you'll get involved in this during the day?
I might. I'm with you on the goals angle, and I think both teams do contribute. So, and I'm a sucker for those juicy plus odds, and I love bet builders. So, yeah, I think yours looks brilliant. Richarlison should hopefully come through for you. I know in my last one, I needed 2 shots from him. He got me 1. So hopefully he got an ass chewing, being the main guy up front there, he's going to have to shoot the ball more than once. So, Rashford, I love all of these angles, and I think getting it at that price, I'll be tailing it for sure because all these dudes should be getting a couple of shots, and none of them have to be on target. So I like it even more. You know how those shots on target, I'm kind of jaded with those. So.
Yeah, it's a shot is a shot. And that's certainly why I'm taking Anthony, for example, in the shots market because he can't hit a barn door sometimes, can he? But what do you like that bet builder, Kev? What do you think?
I do, Steve. And like Ashley said, I'll also tailor in on that one. That does look good. Like you said, I quite like the goals in this one. If I was picking a side, which I'd not, but if I was picking a side, I think United are unbeaten in 8 away to Tottenham, aren't they? 6 wins, 2 draws. Very, very good record in that part of the world. And of course, Tottenham are still coming to terms with the loss of Kane and the new manager. I like Postecoglou. I think he'll be probably better than the last 2 Tottenham managers. That's probably what puts me off taking them. But yeah, those shots, really like those. That I'm a big fan of Richarlison this season. You're probably right to take shots rather than shots on target with Anthony and Rashford. Well, Rashford's up against Emerson Royale, isn't he? If he doesn't win that battle, something's got to go seriously wrong. So yeah, really like that.
Yeah, I think just going back to Richarlison, he couldn't get in the game. I think he's going to have a good game, Richarlison. I wouldn't be surprised if he scores a goal because he's going to be really frustrated after last week. He's going to want to get involved. And I could see him having 3 or 4 shots here. Whether or not he scores, let's wait and see. You want him to score, Kev. You're on him outright for the season.
Certainly am. I took a chance that Harry Kane would go to Bayern Munich. Absolutely delighted when Levy agreed that fee. And hopefully United defend as badly as they did last week, in which case Richarlison will have every chance of filling his boots. Let's move on to the following Premier League game, which is an even better time in the UK and still a decent time in America, 3 p.m. Eastern. It sees the new European Super Cup winners Manchester City up against Newcastle. Ashley, I'll begin with you. Manchester City started with a very, very comfortable win at Burnley last week. Did they impress you? Do you think that they're more likely to win the title on the back of that, or just your thoughts are still the same?
I'm 99% of the time I'm impressed with Man City, except watching them in that Super Cup. I actually thought they got very, very lucky there. Sevilla's game plan was amazing. And I think it was a kind of a combination of that. And maybe people see now too, not that he's not been appreciated before, but Kevin De Bruyne, right? How much of an intricate piece he is to that team, because I think he makes a huge, huge difference maybe in Haaland's confidence in the way he performs. But yeah, Haaland was kind of just taken out of the game. And that could be, kudos also to Sevilla. But I think De Bruyne being out definitely made a huge difference. I'm very interested in this match. I'm tempted with, I'm going to watch because I'm not going to panic, right, with De Bruyne being out and Man City really getting lucky. But I could see both teams netting here, and I think that Newcastle, with that beatdown they're just coming off of, I think they come in with loads of confidence. I could see both teams scoring, and the +1 on Newcastle is a little tempting to me. But man, when it's Man City and they are firing on all cylinders, it's scary to take a +1 against them, so.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Steve, I referenced the Super Cup there, and I referenced it for a reason, because that looked a real hard night's work for Manchester City. Not just the game itself. Sevilla put up a really good fight, probably dominated. Certainly the first hour should have been well ahead, much more than 1-0 ahead. But actually the heat and the temperatures, they looked really zapping, and that's only 3 days between that game and this game kicking off. Obviously, Pep's already made a big thing about the fact that they're not playing on Sunday or they're not playing on Monday. And as Ashley said, they're coming up against Newcastle, who couldn't have been any more rampant if they tried against Aston Villa last week. Is this a trappy game for Manchester City?
It really is. And that Super Cup game, I was doing my head in. I ended up backing in running overs and stuff. And I had no idea how it ended under 2.5. It was such a frustration. And then, of course, they go on to lift the trophy, don't they? As they always, the way things go. I think it's a good spot for Newcastle. And I don't have an official play for this game, but I think draw double chance on Newcastle, +123, x2. It just feels like the sort of match that Man City might slip up in, even lose. Because Newcastle played them twice last year and gave them a good game on both occasions. Should have beat them up at St James's Park. And I think, if I remember correctly, at the Etihad, it was 2-0 City, but it was much closer than the scoreline suggested. So I've actually got a bet builder in the workings for this game. I'm doing a few calculations, and I think there'll be a bet builder for premium members on All Angle Sports Investing. But I'm not decided yet. There's a few little bits that I'm liking. I think it could be... I quite like BTTS as well from Ashley's point of view, but also I quite like under 3.5. Is that a bit of a weird combo? I could see like 1-1 or 2-1 either way being quite in play here. So I think it's a really trappy game for City. Newcastle impressed me a lot more last week than I thought they were going to. So I think anyone looking at Man City, you can get them at -132 on a money line at home. Not often you say that, right? Against anyone. But they'll be looking at that and thinking, "Hey, let's put a wheelbarrow load of cash on Manchester City."
Yeah,
but I would be dubious about that at this point in time.
I would be too. I meant to dig the statistic out, but obviously, Steve, you know that we speak to each other a lot away from these shows, and there was a statistic that I remember from last season that when Manchester City play in Europe on the Wednesday, their results on the Saturday are completely different to what they are any other time. They do win matches, but they often win them very, very late when they've obviously knackered teams out. I don't think they're going to knacker Newcastle out in this particular game. And you've got to think City are going to rest an awful lot of players, because the likes of Kyle Walker looked absolutely shattered at the end the other night. Yes, okay, they're bringing Rico Lewis in and players like that, but this is potentially a real danger game for City. I don't think anyone on this show suggesting they won't win. Just maybe that they're not quite as certain as they might have been maybe if this game was last weekend rather than this weekend. Is that fair to say?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's. I think if it had been the first match of the season, we'd have said City are going to make a statement against Newcastle, who not a lot of people were high on Newcastle heading into this season, myself included. I think I predicted them 7th, which is not too bad, but I see them, and they still might drop down because they've got the Champions League to play now and everything. So over the course of 38 games, let's wait and see. But week 1, I mean, no one really saw 5-1 against Villa, did they? In the fashion it happened. So, yeah, that was a statement from them.
It was, and we'll find out in this game whether Newcastle were really good that night or whether Aston Villa were really bad, or a kind of combination of the two. How did you see it, Ashley? Did you think Newcastle were that good? Or, I mean, some of Aston Villa's defending was schoolboy stuff.
Yeah, that's just going to kind of lead into one of my bets today, though. I think Aston Villa, they played subpar. Obviously, Newcastle played lights out, but yeah, I think it was a combination of both. I'm not taking anything away from Newcastle. I think they played really well, but yeah, I mean, anytime you get beaten that badly, I don't think you can say that Aston Villa didn't play, below their standards. So. Yeah, I'm going to trust their manager here in this next one, and I'm going to like them in a bounce back spot. But I think Newcastle did look strong, and so like I said, I don't know who wins this match, but I can see them giving City a fight for sure.
Yeah, Steve, I think the one thing you'll agree with me is do not overreact on week 1 results. You get some absolute crazy results in week 1. If you had a thought on a team before week 1 and they got battered, don't change that just on the back of that. And the same the other way. If you were
Right.
a bit skeptical about a team and they won well, again, don't change your mind. Be strong with your mind, and well, we'll see a bit more this weekend, whether you're right or wrong.
Yeah, that's very good advice, actually, in general, in any league, in any sport, actually. After the first round or even the second round of games, you've got to trust in your instincts sometimes, but also sometimes you do have to see what in front of your eyes, that team at this point in time are not what you expected them to be. I don't think there's a case of that here, but it can happen as well, where you just miles off at that stage. That's the nature of the beast in professional handicapping.
Yeah, and you have to avoid that, right? The recency bias. So that's definitely why I'm going to kind of maybe take player shots or something, but sit back and just pull for Steve's bet builder that he comes up with, because it would be easier to overreact. Like I said, that +1 looks so appealing on Newcastle, but you're exactly spot on with that. You have to be mentally prepared, right? Because Man City could very well go in there and roll them. Expecting Newcastle to come in there full of confidence. So, yeah, if you're going by Newcastle's recent result, you'd say, yeah, they take it to them. But honestly, it wouldn't surprise me to see Man City blow the doors off of them either. So I'm just going to sit back and kind of see what these two teams are all about a couple more match days, I think.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to move on now. Just want to talk about the All Angles premium service, the premium subscription service that we've got going. We've started at the start of July. I'm going to put a link in the comment section now. Areas you can join. We've got several subscription plans across the board. I've got this graphic here, which I don't think is going to necessarily come out as well as I wanted it to. But there is an example there watching the screen. We've got a monthly subscription plan, $39.99. We've got a 3-month plan, and we've also got a special deal right until the end of December, which you can get part of. If you do join our premium service, you'll be getting access to all of we have a pre-match channel in Telegram, and we have a live channel. For those who like live betting, that's been going really well recently. It's whatever sort of suits whatever floats your boat, really, in terms of betting, because everyone's different. Some like bets well in advance. Some just like to bet at the weekend. Some people love live plays. We cater to that at decent value prices. And I just want to thank everyone who, I know there's members watching this show right now. So I want to thank anyone who's been on board so far. I want to welcome anyone into the channel as well. Pedro, welcome in. Gertrude, good to see you again. Hannah as well. Hannah just says best in the biz and phenomenal prices. She's not wrong. She's not wrong at all. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Ashley, that I've just said.
Oh, I'm definitely not going to add anything else. She's not wrong. She tries to teach me to say that all the time. So absolutely, I'm right there with you. She's not wrong. Hardly ever wrong about anything.
There you go. You're saying the right things. You know which buttons to press the right way, Ashley. I'll say that. So,
but it really is fair. Like before I came on with Steve, we started doing this last month. I was doing a Patreon service. A lot of my loyal followers, who I love to death, we're a betting family, like we really are. Go through the roller coaster that is sports betting together, and they've shifted over, and it's the same price my Patreon was. And we're getting Steve and I. We have a lot of different types of bets. He knows angles that I really don't approach. Whether it's cards or corners, things like that. So yeah, I think between the two of us, it's same price my Patreon was by itself. So you're getting both of us, and just his expertise in areas that I just I just don't know about, and I just don't study. So yeah,
it's a good combination. And it was a tough July for us. We were ups and downs, but that's the nature of the business so far. We're doing better in August, and as I say, I would welcome anyone with open arms to the actual service. So anyway, we're going to move on, and on most shows it's just the handicappers doing picks, but on this show the host is also going to get involved. I'm putting Kev on the spot here, and he's going to have at least one pick each week. For For those who don't know, Kev, does have his own sports betting website, kevs@sportsbets.com. You cover all sports from cricket through to snooker. Trying to think of a random sport that you cover, Olympics, things like that when it's on. So you're a man of great betting knowledge. So yeah, this is going to be Kev's pick of the week, and it's going to be in Germany. We're going to the Bundesliga here, Stuttgart against Bochum. And this is a league I know you're not often involved in, but you've got a bit of inside information here because you've seen one of these teams close up hand. You actually were in Germany for a trip recently, and you saw a couple of matches at Bochum. So what do you like in this fixture?
Yeah, you're right, Steve. Anyone who knows me will know I don't venture into the Bundesliga very often, but I will keep an eye on it this season because, as you said, Bochum was a venue for a friendly against my team, Luton Town, a couple of weeks ago. I was there. I enjoyed the hospitality. It was fantastic, brilliant day, and I like over 2.75 goals in their season opener against Stuttgart. I did consider taking Stuttgart in this game, I must admit, but the transfer of Endo to Liverpool kind of puts me off a little bit. It makes me think about the goals. I really enjoyed watching Bochum play, actually. They were a side that loved to get the ball forward. They've got a tall number 9, who's a new signing, but it's actually Asano down the left-hand side who really, really impressed me. The Japanese international looks very, very good. And he kind of combined with the two new signings that are up front with them. He set up the first goal. He scored the second goal. Absolute composure personified for the second goal. Really, really was nice. But the one thing I did notice is that they were very, very dodgy defending crosses. Luton played 2 games against them over the course of the day. So it was kind of a first-team game to start off with, and then kind of reserved in a mixture of first team in the second game. Luton scored 3 of the 4 goals that they scored on that day from crosses. The first team game was from a corner, where a centre-back scored, and then 2 from crosses in the second game. It's a real weakness, and it's somewhere where Stuttgart are very, very strong. So I expect Stuttgart to score a few goals here. The other thing to factor in, of course, this might be the start of the Bundesliga, but there was a round in the Cup last week. Bochum lost to 3rd division opposition, albeit on penalties, but they still went out. That can't be good for their confidence. They're obviously 3rd favourites to be relegated. I could understand why from looking at them defensively. But I just think they're going to offer something going forward, Steve. They did impress me. That new look front three, I really like the look of them. And to be fair to my side, Luton, although we got blown away last week, usually we know our onions defensively. So the way that they tore us apart was really, really impressive, albeit in a friendly. So I do like the look of goals in this game. I'd be very, very surprised if this one doesn't have at least 3 goals in it.
It does look a good pick. I've actually got involved in this game on the app because we win show that I do, and my pick is actually Stuttgart in that one. But I submitted the pick before the news of Endo's transfer went out, so I was like, oh shit! So I couldn't really change the pick. I still like Stuttgart to win this game quite easily because Bochum defensively they're a disgrace. I mean, you look at their numbers last season, pre-season now. I think they're a good bet to go down. I think they'll be one of the teams relegated, and I think I could see this service being involved in a lot of their overs this year, to be honest with you, because they'll give it a go, won't they? But I mean, at Bochum last year, I think I bet you were involved in a lot of their over matches last year, Ashley.
Yeah, and I'm going to we'll have our first slight disagreement. I don't think they're by any means safe, but I would take them to. I wouldn't. I'm not expecting them to be relegated. They seem to be able to put it together when they need to. Would not be surprised at all if Stuttgart win here. So the way that I made some decent profit playing Bochum matches last season was, say, like in this match, I would take Stuttgart to win and both teams to score. Bochum are going to concede, but they seem to be they have that fighting spirit. They've stayed up a couple of years, so I think they've gotten a little bit of confidence about themselves, and they always get a sneaky goal in there. So whether it's both teams are scoring over, I agree that you give Stuttgart the edge. They have more talent, more experience, but I think if you're a value bettor, which I am, and this would just be kind of a lean, I would say taking Stuttgart and both teams to score has some decent value to it. Yeah.
Just in response to Marcel, in response to Marcel's comment here on screen about Undav, and he is a good signing. Unfortunately, he's injured already. He's out with a knee problem, we think, at least a month. So that's a blow, unfortunately, for them. But they have signed well. They've got some decent. I mean, Stuttgart are going to be much better this season. They survived with a playoff last year, but I think they'll be a lot better this time around. But this match, this is the one to watch. I think for goals, good one for the neutral to keep an eye on Saturday afternoon over here in Europe.
Yep, it certainly is, and of course, often when teams potentially lowly down the table meet, they do have a go at each other, don't they? So that always leads to goals. So yeah, we're all confident that there'll be goals in that one. And if you do take Stuttgart, hopefully it's not 2-2, hopefully it's 3-1 or something like that. Now, I promised you worldwide picks, and we'll move on to what can only be described as a worldwide pick. We head into Sunday's action now, and Ashley, you've come up with one. I've got to be honest, in Singapore, where until a couple of hours ago, I wasn't actually convinced they played football in Singapore. I didn't even think the place was big enough for a football team, but it apparently is. We've got a battle between 4th and 1st, and you like both teams to score in the first half.
I do indeed. So typically when you're looking at other leagues, both teams will score in the first half. You're looking at plus 350, closer to plus 400. But this is a wide open league, and I'm glad that you didn't know about it, so I brought it up. So all I can say is you're welcome, because if you like goals, you're going to fall in love with this league. This one is not going to be a full unit. We're going to do a third of a unit. I don't play this. Hits quite a bit in a lot of teams in Singapore because they have so many goals. But this is just an autoplay for me when Balestier, when they specifically are involved. So they are scoring 2.5 at home, and they're conceding 3. And then Albirex, when they're on the road, Albirex just scores it at home or away. But they're actually scoring over 3 and giving up about 1.5. So, it's 87% chance is what my numbers show that both teams score. Close to 90% that it goes over 2.5. So I say, instead of laying prices for both teams to score and over, let's just shoot both of these wide open offenses and leaky defenses. You can get more than double your money on both of them scoring in the first half. I think they both definitely score. So let's just take the big swing at the nice plus 220.
Yeah, that does look a fair enough assessment. If you look at the last two Balestier results, you've got them losing 5-2 and winning 6-2. And if you look at Iberex, they won 3-2 last week and 6-1 the week before. As Ashley said, If you like goals, this Singapore place.
If you're betting on the Betfair correct score market, you are betting on the correct score section, because there's something unusual. I mean, I'm like Kev. I never ever even considered this league before I met Ashley. She even had me watching some games over there at one point, and it's I think it's a bit of a crooked league at times as well. But
it's very crooked. You can't, but yeah. I was chatting with Steve one morning. I think I had him at like 6 a.m. Over there in England watching a Singapore match, and we hit the both teams to score in the first half on the very last kick of the match. So they cancel penalties, they do shady stuff. But I take this one quite frequently, and our clients, we're definitely up. We hit these more than we don't, and that's all you can ask for with big prices like that.
Yeah, if you're new to this Singapore league, just very quickly, the last 10 results in it: 6-2, 5-2, 6-1, 5-2, 1-0. I've no idea what was going on there. 3-2, 3-2, 2-0. Again, this DPMM side, they must be boring.
You're starting to think, yes, I know what you're thinking, Kev. You're starting to think I need to get involved here, right?
6-2 and 8-2, it might be early in the UK, but, get up and watch some of these games, because...
do it. And let me tell you something, Kev. There was a match just a couple weeks ago, and I think there was only like 8 minutes left, and there were 2 goals, and I think I took over 4.5, because it's like you just know it's coming. I wouldn't do that in any other league, and I would be damned if it was like goal, and there's like 2-3 goals in the last 8 minutes. So yeah. Wake up, set your alarm. If you like goals, you will fall in love with these Singapore leagues here.
I mean, if they had the same new rules that England are having with this time after the games, they're going to be sort of 12, 13, 14 goals, let alone minutes. So
I don't know if they have rules at all over there, honestly. It's just kind of a free-for-all over there.
it seems like they don't have goalkeepers, that is for sure. Or if they do,
Yeah.
they don't look particularly good. Just looking at the
Yeah.
just looking at the amount of goals that go in. So that looks an absolute brilliant shout. So I will definitely follow you in on that one, albeit in the very early hours of Sunday morning. But hey, we've got the Women's World Cup final.
But everyone just remember, third of a unit, because we play it pretty often. You just have to, hit one out of every three to be profitable, and we are. So don't go crazy on it, but it's a fun bet. There's some beer money on it, and see what happens.
And we should just say, if you are new to the show or betting in general, the point system is very much advisable because you can keep everything under control there, and everything that we advise will come with point systems, so you can use your own.
Yes, in the actual, in the pre-match and live Telegram groups that we do have a point system. We're not doing it on this preview show at this point in time because it's these are free picks that are given out, and you can sort of make your own judgment how much you want to stake. But yeah, in general, you're absolutely right, Kev. Get good structured point system is key in betting.
Yep. If you subscribe to the service, follow the point system, you will not go wrong.
Yes.
You'll probably also not go wrong if you follow Steve in Norway, and that's where we're heading for our next bet. I've generally followed him in the top flight in Norway, but true to form in the first show, he's going to throw up a bet in the second division.
Well, I've got about 6 picks in Norway this round that I've lined up, and I just had to. I couldn't decide which one I was going to do on this on the show, so I've gone with one in Obos. This is Raufoss against Start, and over 3 goals, over 3 Asian goals is my pick for the game at -108. So it's close to even money, and I thought this goal line would be probably 3.5 or 3.25 at absolute best. Start have had 15 out of 18 matches end over 2.5 goals this year. Now, 2 of the last 3 have actually ended under, and I think that might be why we can get this line now. But I've watched these teams play. I actually think Raufoss are a massive price on the money line at +170. I think it suits them perfect. They're a counter-attacking team. They're lethal on the break. They've got a striker called Helmerson who's in great form. I don't know if anyone can get him any time. Not many books offer anytime scores for this league, but he could be a big price here. And Obos League in general is the sort of league where goals flow the best of times. But this is just obvious. I mean, the leagues came back from a summer break. God knows why they have a summer break in Norway. It's like you're wasting the few good weather they have over there. But anyway, since they've played 3 matches since then, and all of them have been wild end-to-end contests for Raufoss. And Start I've actually kept 2 clean sheets in a row, which I don't mind that heading into this game because there's no way teams do not go on clean sheet runs in Norway Obos again. It doesn't happen very often. So for them, any team to keep 3 straight clean sheets in this league, it would be way off the norm. So I kind of like that in the way they're due to concede more goals. Over 3 just stands out like a sore thumb. Push at absolute worst, and we'll take the bet here. Not much else to say really, apart from I think the goal should flow at both ends. And Raufoss, if you do fancy a bit of value, +170, not bad.
Yeah, indeed, that is the case. Unlike Singapore, I've followed that league. There is a team in that league that Luton played in a friendly a few seasons ago, and I've kept my eye on them. So, yep, do know that. And that comment is absolutely right. Steve is one of the busiest men in sports betting, but he delivers.
There's no rest, Kev. You've got to keep working hard to get the edge. That's how you get your reward in this business.
It absolutely is, and you deliver 7 days a week, and fair play to you for that. And I'm sure you're going to deliver on that Norway pick as well. Let's go back to Ashley. We're going back to the Premier League. You hinted earlier about Aston Villa. I thought Aston Villa were on for a really good season this season. I've not changed my mind just because of last week. On the flip side of that, I thought Everton are going to struggle big time this season. They didn't really struggle last week, but I do think they're going to struggle. And that's kind of how you see it with your same game parlay for Sunday.
Yeah, it is. So I I kind of actually like the fact that Aston Villa just took an absolute beating at the hands of Newcastle. Sometimes with new bettors or, just your recreational bettors, it's, they look at that as like, oh, well, they must suck, and they jump off of them. To me, I look at those opportunities to jump right back on them. They know that they got smacked right in the mouth, and I think that they're going to want to come out and show that they're not as horrible as that performance was. And I cannot think of a better team for them to be facing to, prove that they're actually a decent side. So Villa money line. Now I'm combining this because everyone knows, like, I'm not. I lay prices, but I'm not really crazy about it. I have to really, really love the pick. So as a Villa money line, I think you can get it around -140. That's just a little bit too much for me. But if you're someone who just kind of likes, a simpler bet, don't want to complicate it, just take Aston Villa to win. But I'm going to take Aston Villa to beat Everton and Ollie Watkins just to have one shot on target. That's it. I think, I think that they do come out, try to make a statement. I think Everton is the perfect team for them to make a statement against. And I think Ollie Watkins being as important to Aston Villa, I think he knows he has to perform well for this team to perform well. So I don't think it's a lot to ask him to get a shot on target. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if he scores, but I'll take the somewhat safer route. There is no safe route in betting. But this takes us up from -140 to +128. So I think that getting that much of a price jump and getting plus odds just for one of their main players to have a shot on target, I think that's just a fantastic way to get plus money there.
Yeah, if you are following Ashley in on this, and I certainly would advise that you don't look too much at that Aston Villa result last week. Tyrone Mings went off in the first half with a season-ending injury. Matty Cash missed an absolute sitter while the game was still live last week. Konsa made a cock-up that he'll very, very, very rarely make. That game could easily have been 3-3, not 5-1 to Newcastle and, Everton. They don't change, and no sign that they've changed this season, although they have nicked someone from Steve's team, Leeds, in Jack Harrison. But if they're relying on him to stay up, I wish them the best of luck.
This is the problem I've got with Everton, right? And it has been for some time. Jack Harrison is a good player. He's a real workhorse, and he'll come up with the odd good goal. But he's not someone you can hang your hat on to score a lot of goals. I mean, Neil Maupay, like, seriously, when I used to watch Neil Maupay in France, I thought he was a brilliant prospect. And at Brentford, he did all right. But what has happened to him? He cannot finish his dinner now. I can tell you what's going to happen in this game. We're going to look at the end of it, and we're going to look at Everton's XG, which will be probably about 1.5 or something. And we're like, how the hell did they not score a goal there? Right? And so you sometimes only need one or two goals to beat them. And I think it's a great combo pick, actually. Watkins, you just need a shot on target off him. He's probably going to be their main candidate to score. I think this is a typical Ashley Wade bet. I love these combos she has.
Hey, this used to be a typical Ashley Wade bet, but I've started shying away from the shots on target. But I'm going to trust this guy. Fantastic player. I love the situation. I love the talent. Just disparity between these two sides. So yeah, if that guy can't give me one shot on target, then I'm giving up on shots on target altogether, and I'll just stick with shots.
I'm hoping that shot on target goes into the back of the net, because he's the other player that I backed to be the top scorer this season. And
there you go.
Speaking of scorers, each week we're going to end this show with some anytime goal scorer suggestions. All three of us are going to have picks. I will come to you for your two first, Steve. Give me a banker and a value pick for this weekend's action.
You muted yourself, Steve-O.
Bollocks. I didn't actually got the graphics on the screen for these picks, but I hate to use this word banker, but I put it in the itinerary, didn't I? Banker goal scorer is a guy called Serdan Hrstić, a new player. We're talking Swedish Allsvenskan here. This is a match on, I can't remember what day, Saturday or Sunday, one of them. It'll be Sunday because they played on Thursday. Häcken against Sirius. A new striker they've signed. Everyone will know that Benny Traore was sold to Sheffield United. He still hasn't actually had a shot for them in 2 starts, I don't think. but he certainly scored a lot of goals in Allsvenskan. He was their top scorer. They've signed this guy, Herstich, and he hasn't netted in Allsvenskan yet, but he has in Europa Conference League matches. He's going to be someone you want to be getting on. There's a lot of scorers, actually, in this Hacken team who you might want to look at. Layun is another one, Mikkel Rygaard, Sadiq. They're a big goal-scoring team. And I think this Herstich at plus 110 is great bit of value. And he's going to be my so-called banker goal scorer of the weekend.
Yeah, let's change that. Short price goal scorer and a slightly bigger price goal scorer. So there's no such thing as a banker. So your bigger price goal scorer then, Steve?
Well, yeah, I'm going to France here, Le Havre against Brest. And I'm going with Roma del Castillo, the Brest attacker, at plus 480 to score any time. Now, the big advantage you've got with this lad, he's on penalties. And he scored 2 penalties last week. So already his tail's up. And if they do get a spot kick, he's going to be on it. He's shown good composure. And I think the only reason that he's such a big price is because Le Havre had such a strong defensive record in the second tier last year. But last week they drew 2-2, so it's a lot tougher in the top level of France. So it just stood out to me. I enjoyed his performance last week overall. Thought he had a really good performance. So at plus 480, I mean, I could have gone with a few players for this value pick. But Roma del Castillo at Brest, plus 480 anytime.
Excellent stuff. 2 solid goal scorer options there. Ashley, have you got a short price and a bigger price goal scorer option for us?
I was just going to give, I will be on these, but yeah, I didn't know we were doing the bigger value and smaller value. I will say that now this is laying a small price at minus 110. I do love Sebastian Aller, just his story. And when I go for goal scorers, which is one of my favorite bets, as everyone knows, the first thing I ask myself is, do I expect this team to score multiple goals? And yes, I do, right? And is this guy an intricate part? Yes, he is. So I like him at minus 110. I have actually already played Kolomoani to score. I think I got him at plus 100. But now I combine things to get a bigger price. So I do love, this goes hand in hand with me taking Benfica to win also. So Angel Di Maria has been on fire for Benfica. You know, he's a Portuguese player. He's back in his homeland, and I think he's just loving it, and it's showing on the field. He's scoring well already. So taking him, you can get him around evens, and I think that's a fantastic price. But if you just combine that just with Benfica to score twice, which I definitely think they do, that takes you up to around plus 135. So yeah, that's kind of what I do with Messi all the time. I'll take him to score and I combine it with over 2 goals, right? Just always trying to get us to plus money. So yeah, I like Di Maria. I like Sebastian there. And I definitely like Kolomoani too.
Yeah, 2 scorers out in Germany there. I really like those 2, actually. I think if you just double those 2 up, you're not going to go too far wrong over the weekend.
Oh, let me give a bigger price to one. I think he's over plus 200 for Wolfsburg, and they're playing a weaker side. Jonas Wind. I will absolutely be on him. I think you can get him plus 210-ish. Yeah, anytime you see Wolfsburg up against a team where you're expecting to score a couple, definitely take that guy. They, for some reason, always offer him at a really good price, and he typically comes through. So.
Against newly promoted champions of the second division as well. So they're going up against a side who weren't even in Bundesliga last season, right. Steve.
Plus 185, you can get Jonas Wind. Is it Wind or Wind? I don't know.
I call him Jonas Wind, but you know, I'm an American and we usually pronounce things wrong.
So plus 185 on him. You can actually get Sebastian Aller at plus 120, William Hill in the UK.
Oh, nice.
They've a bit of a standout price there. I think a few books are now odds against. Maybe Dortmund have drifted slightly. I don't know why Sebastian Aller. I've took him to be the top scorer in Bundesliga this year, actually, Sebastian Aller. I think if Harry Kane gets injured, then he's the one who can probably push in the most. So I think there's some good plays there that Ashley suggested. I just want to give a shout out to João Pedro, who's joined the show. Good to see you as well, João Pedro. Marcel has come in. He reckons Frank Honorat for Gladbach tomorrow versus Augsburg, plus 250. Yeah, former Brest player. not a bad talent actually. Let's see how he settles in there. Augsburg, I don't think they're going to have a good season either. In Germany, I think they're a relegation candidate. Everyone's saying Heidenheim are going to get battered and easily be bottom, and Darmstadt are going to get murdered. But I think Augsburg and Bochum are the teams that are going to struggle. But we can leave that debate for another day. Kev, have you got a couple of goal scorers for us?
I do, Steve.
Right.
Funnily enough, Ashley said about Lionel Messi. It's Leagues Cup final on Saturday night out in the States. What an absolute brilliant tournament that has been. If you've watched any of it, you could not have not been entertained. It's been fantastic, end-to-end. MLS, Liga MX come together. Been an absolute brilliant tournament, and it's going to end in brilliant style as well. Inter Miami will take on Nashville for the title. Inter Miami favourites. Messi scored in pretty much every game. He's the top scorer in that competition. Up against Walker Zimmerman, who, for the best will in the world, is an old-school centre-back. And Dax McCarthy, who's the shield to the defence, doesn't get around the pitch as well as he usually does. Messi will surely get chance after chance after chance against that Nashville side. Really like him to score somewhere around the minus 140 mark. So
minus 125. You can actually get minus 125 on Messi, which... I mean, I looked at that and I'm thinking, what's the catch here? I mean, what's the trap?
I guess the only thing you've got to say, Steve, he's not on penalties. This must be the first time in his life he's played for a team and he's given the penalties away. He's given the penalties to Joseph Martinez, who was a little bit sort of hit or miss it into Miami. But it doesn't matter. He takes every single free kick. He's already scored 2 of them in this competition. Absolute pearlers. He just gets forward. Teams just can't mark Lionel Messi. Nashville aren't going to do a much better job of it. This is going to be end-to-end. It's going to be a fantastic final to watch, but it's going to be one that Messi finds the back of the net in. I'm pretty sure of that.
The thing is, I might just say, it was the last minute of injury time, and it's a draw, and they get a penalty. You're telling me they're not going to put Lionel Messi on that penalty?
He hasn't taken a penalty so far, and they've had 3 in the tournament. So Martinez has scored all 3 as well.
I mean, I do rate Martinez. I think Martinez is quite a good striker, but I know Ashley's been absolutely crushing the Leagues Cup in general, and certainly the Inter Miami games on the premium service. Like, she's had some great combos of bets, and I reckon she'll be getting involved again.
I already have. So with Messi, I'm not an MLS fan. I am now. I never thought I would buy an MLS jersey. I am ordering one now. I just think Messi he's my favorite player in the world. I think he's the best player on the planet. But he has just taken that very, very mediocre team, and he has just transformed them. Now, I know they have Busquets, right, and Jordi Alba, and I think those are very, very good additions also. That they're comfortable playing with each other, and you can tell that those 3 guys they're men amongst boys in that league. I am impressed with the 18-year-old. I can't think of Kramaski or whatever his name is. Kramaski, I think he's going to be really good. But yeah, with Messi at minus 125, you can't go wrong with that. But every time I've hit him, and every time I've taken the same exact bet, I take Messi to score and over 2 goals, because Miami, these teams are producing goals. I think Nashville, they're playing very well. I think they will contribute to the total. So like I said, I don't like laying a price for a scorer. So I feel like taking him to score, and even over 1.5 goals, even if those are really low odds, it'll still get you to plus money. And that's why I played him every time. And I'm going to ride that bike till the wheels fall off. I'm going to bet it until it doesn't hit. And then when it doesn't hit, I'm going to bet it after that too, because you're just not going to hold that guy down versus these players.
No, brilliant tournament. Final of that, 9 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night, will be an absolute cracker. And as a value one, Steve, if people haven't worked out by now, I generally form my bets based on Luton Town and what I see and what I know by going to every single game. And we have loaned out a striker to League Two side Colchester United called Joe Taylor. Colchester are bottom of the league. They haven't won a game yet. They've only played 2 games, though. Everyone else has played 3. Their first game, would you believe, right in the height of the English summer, was a waterlogged pitch against Swindon. So they're a game behind everyone else. But he joined after that. He's already scored in the Carabao Cup against Cardiff, Championship opposition. And he scored in his first league game against Bradford. That's the only league goal that Colchester has scored. They take on Milton Keynes Dons at home this weekend on Saturday, 3 o'clock UK time, 10 a.m. Eastern. Milton Keynes have already conceded 5 goals in 3 league games. Wrexham scored 3 goals against them on the opening day of the season. I'm convinced Taylor's a really good prospect. He's been loaned out from Luton to get some experience. He'll be a part of Luton's squad next season. If you go back 3 months, he thought he'd scored the goal that took Luton to the Premier League, but VAR got involved, much to my annoyance. But I think he's a really, really good prospect. Only a 20-year-old kid. Seems to be going under the radar because he's not even the favourite to be the first goal scorer for Colchester in his match. His strike partner is. But with pace to burn, real cool head and a good finisher, Joe Taylor could take League Two by storm this season. I wouldn't put anyone off backing him outright to be the top scorer in that division, around the 4,000 mark. But certainly in this game on Saturday, against the Milton Keynes side who leak goals for fun, he could well score around the plus 400.
Plus 300.
Mark, I think. Plus
300. Joe Taylor for Colchester.
Nice.
I would Joe Taylor. Sorry, yeah, Joe Taylor. I would never even look. I never even look at the only result I look out for in League Two is Harrogate Town, my local side. So I wouldn't know much about it, but obviously you know a lot about this lad who you've loaned out from Luton Town. So I hope you've found those anytime scorer suggestions useful, and that's going to conclude the picks on the show. Just want to remind people you can again follow us on the socials on Twitter at All Angles SI. You can follow myself, Steve Wiss at Meatman Soccer. Ashley is at SoccerQ-VIP these days. And what is your own social feed, Kev? And also tell us a bit about your website as well. What sports do you have on there at the moment?
Yeah, my own social feed at Kevsat and my website, kevsatsportsbets.com. So over the course of this weekend, there's plenty of cricket, there's plenty of football, there's the tennis in Cincinnati, if I can get the words out. And obviously the MLS is back over the weekend as well, so there will be plenty of MLS. And then going into next week, we've got the Tour Championship Golf and a little bit of snooker dotted around as well. So for all sports, that's the place to head.
Yeah, I've got the link below. I've got the link below on the YouTube there, or for all the Twitters and also the websites in addition to that. So, it's also a final reminder about the premium subscription service. I put the link on the chat here. Again, we are ready and raring to go now. Loads of leagues in operation, and there's going to be plays galore over the next few weeks. So I expect it, certainly a red hot period coming up, hopefully, from myself and Ashley. You got any closing thoughts, Ash, as we finish up the show?
Yeah, I do. I've been sitting here stressing, and I'm going to buy a little Naughty Forest jersey now because they came through for me late. I had their team total at plus money, and I had them to win. And they had me stressed out for that entire match, but saved me in stoppage time. So you guys will see a new edition of a jersey at some point. Definitely investing in them because those guys, they did me and Steve both really well today.
Shall I get a Valencia shirt? Because Valencia did manage to hold on for me.
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, you definitely. We need to see a Valencia, and then I'll have a Forest, and then I'll have my nice, bright, messy MLS jersey, which I never thought I would pay for.
Yeah, well, I say thanks to anyone who's watched, and Kev, good debut from you on the hosting.
Really enjoyed it, Steve. Looking forward to next week. Might be a bit worse for wear next week. Luton play Chelsea on the Friday night game, and I will be there, hoping for a better result than what we got last week. Yeah, well, I will inform everyone when the next show is going to be. It might not be on Friday. It might be a bit later. We will see how things go, but there will be a weekly preview show. Also, when the Champions League group stages start, we'll be having some midweek stuff. But from myself, Steve Wiss, Kevin Harper, and Ashley Waite, best of luck, whatever you're taking this weekend. And do remember to gamble responsibly. And take care. See you next time. Goodbye.